2, 3. Okay, so tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are.
Hi, I'm Johnny Giles. I'm a poet from Cardiff. I've lived in Cardiff all my life, and I've been actively performing my work for 7 years now.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about why poetry, and what is it so special about poetry for you?
There's several answers to that, but one of them being I've not got the best attention span, so writing something that's quite short is quite useful. That's not the best answer I could give, but the other thing is I've loved poetry my entire life. I mean more so in the last I'd say 10 years, and I read a lot of it. I listen to a lot of performers, and I write my own as well and perform my own work. What I find special about poetry is it's a medium in which you can perhaps get sort of, for me personally, I write a lot about mental health issues and stuff like that, so I can turn something, an experience that's quite dark, such as I was in a psychiatric unit 6 years ago, and I can turn that into something that basically expresses how I feel about that whole situation, but without it being I'd say
Trivialized?
What?
Without it being trivialized?
Yes, exactly. And I mean, I try and I'll take a negative experience. I'll find like the imagery that would express that, and then it tells itself through the imagery and wordplay, rather than it just being like, this is what happened to me, this is what happened in my life, this is how I feel about it. It's more condensed and more lyrical, really.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about your ideal world of being a poet. Where would you want to be?
I mean, I've had a lot of successes, to be honest with you. I mean, 2 years after I first started performing, I went to the LAN Festival during the Dylan Thomas centenary, and I had a he was a publisher, but he handprints all these beautiful crafted, like art, he calls it like artisan style books, and he just came up to me and said, do you want a book out? And then I didn't realise that I'd went to a book launch in London from his same publisher, so obviously I jumped at the chance of that, and I've travelled, I've gone to Edinburgh to perform my work, so I don't know in an ideal world what more that I can do other than continue getting my work out there, continue, well, it's a craft, so continue.
And you're very good at it.
Thank you very much. I always pull a face when people say that.
Okay. Is there anything, let's just say, peculiar, anything special about, being a poet in Wales for you?
I mean, one of the age-old sayings is write what you know, and I write quite a bit about Cardiff, about, for example, the piece about me being in a psychiatric unit is called Landoc, and that is the name of the hospital in which I went for granted only 2 weeks, but that was quite a life-changing experience for me, because by the time I came out of there, I was sober for 2.5 years. I gave up a lot of things, such as I gave up smoking cannabis, which was, at the time, I was very heavily consuming it to get away from some of the darker sides of my life. But in terms of being a poet in Wales, I mean, Wales has a very rich history of especially spoken poetry. I mean, Dylan Thomas, just as much as he was a good writer, he was able to perform his work. He was able to use his voice very well. and even before that, you've got the Welsh bards and stuff like that. You've got the Eisteddfod geared around all that. So yeah, that I mean, I've always lived in Wales, so it's a big part of who I am and what I write.
Okay, and lastly, where can we see more of you or read more of your works?
Yeah, I mean, anyone who's interested in the book that I mentioned, it was Chalk Outlines. It was out 5 years ago. I've not got any hard copies left, but you can certainly drop me an email, and I'd be happy to send you that. It's johnnyGilesPoet@gmail.com. I've also got poems with, it's called 3 Drops in a Cauldron. It's an online website, online web journal even, where they've got poems in that. If you search on that for Baba Yaga, you'll find one of my pieces there. There may well still be, I'm not 100% certain of this, but there may well still be some videos of myself on YouTube as well. So just put Johnny Giles Poet in there and maybe something will come up. I can't guarantee it, but yeah, those are some of the places.
Okay.
Or come along to nights like Lyrical Miracles.
Yes.
That's held in just over there, the North Star. It's it's the last Thursday of every month. Yeah, you can even any local open mic for poetry. 9 times out of 10, you'll find me there.
Okay, and lastly, only if you're comfortable, do you want to give us, maybe a line of verse or a couple of lines? Only if you feel up to it.
I can do that. I'll do Landau.
Yeah.
You came to see me in the cuckoo's nest. I was one of those cracked eggs with all the sticky liquid sucked right out, like a protein shake slurped by men much stronger than I. Curled fetal posture, a fine fragile state in which I could not differentiate between asleep and awake. Yet I could see pain swirling through your eyes, the world turning in the opposite way to what you might prefer. Spinning at a slightly swifter speed than what you're used to. Meanwhile, I change position to lotus, writing at a vastly faster rate, spinning webs of ink on blank pages like a thespian storming stages. You're lost in the labyrinth, reach for my hand like Ariadne's string, pass me my marbles, let's make it a trade. This was not the hospital in which I was born. That was on the other side of the map. My pieces are being reassembled like a jigsaw of the brain. I may have lost the picture on the box, but I am sure all shall be right. It'll just take time for my wind to chime. Nurse Ratchet morphed into psychiatrist. Empathy plays no emphasis. No, the cost is the bottom line, didn't I know? Well no, Bobo, you clown, I thought it was health. No poker face, you shown your hand, all silver and spangled, supply and demand. You're an illness to the NHS, and yet it's I who need to be cured. Cast in the cold, your heart, lump of coal, a fossil fuel, pollutant. The litter in the river, the oil in the sea in which you'd cast me out to drown. I repeat, clown, pennywise with your hidden teeth. The voice in the drain, the boat that breaks the coral reef. All diva, all drama, Coronation Street, but without soap unclean. I thought I was in a dream, but now I'm sure it's you. Offering pills, is that all you do? Cog of the machine, monkey see, monkey do. Your logic, monkey poo, sick like flu, influenza. I see through you, double glazed and double faced. Toxic waste, yet I'll make lemonades out of these lemons. Your bitter skin shall be peeled off. You tried to clip my wings, but it's time for me to fly. Thank you.
That's absolutely fantastic.